Boker Plus Vox Gnome and the Boker Plus Mini Slik. These are interesting little knives, and I'm going to tell you why I own them, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about them. The other day I watched a video from We All Juggle Knives, where he had a Mini Slik and then its opposite, the P-Cal Slik. And on the P-Cal Slik, this edge is sharpened and this edge is blunt, and this one's just the opposite. I actually like that sheep's foot kind of Warncliffe style a little bit better, but I bought this one because it's a decade edition. These two knives are the only fixed blades in Boker Plus's decade edition. What does decade edition mean? Well, I'm not exactly sure what it means, but what it comes down to is that these are both VG-10 steel, and they've got some pretty cool carbon fiber handle scales. Not perfectly done. I'll be quite honest about that. The carbon fiber is not perfect. It's a little rough around these pass-throughs. You know, it is a little bit rough. I do imagine that it'll polish out in the pocket. Won't take too long. It's not chipped and tore up or anything, but it's a little rough. You know, but again, this is these are made in China, so I'm not entirely surprised by that. There isn't a lot to say about these because I'm not a knife reviewer, and I don't have a huge knife collection, but I am a bit of an enthusiast, stopping at the point where, you know, I have some favorite steels, but I am not a steel guru. There are lots of those guys out there that can explain metallurgy to you, and not only am I not one of those guys, I don't intend to ever be one of those guys. I'm not trying to compete with any knife reviewers. I just want to show you what you get in the box here and talk about these a little bit. Yeah, so like I said, We All Juggle Knives did a wonderful review on his Mini Slik and his Mini Slik P-Cal, and I was looking for a small fixed blade. The reason for that is I am changing professions in the very near future, and where I've been very comfortable whipping out my Benchmade 710 where I work right now and having, you know, a 3.9-inch blade, and nobody looks at me twice. Nobody looks at me twice. Where I am going to, oh yeah, these are going to be black slacks, white shirt, paisley tie kind of people, and the ladies are pantsuit sort of folks, and yeah, they will freak out. I whip out a 4-inch blade and, you know, deploy it in such a manner as is conducive to something like my Benchmade. You know, that yeah, that'll freak those people out, and I'll get fired. So I can't do that. I need to make a little change, and so I was looking for something small. Doesn't deploy like a folding knife. I didn't really want to go back to carrying a jackknife, so I was hoping to find a little fixed blade, and I believe that this one is going to end up serving that purpose for me. I believe that this gnome is going to end up being my everyday carry sort of knife in the new job. Not immediately though. Let's get right into this real quick. This is the sheath that came with the Decade Edition Gnome. Oh man, this is junk. This is the leather sheath. The seller I bought it from advertised a Kydex sheath. It did not come with a Kydex sheath. It came with this really poorly made, poorly done, poorly stitched, lousy leather quality piece of junk. This is absolute rubbish. For a knife that they've got a suggested retail price of about $100 on, them sending it with this, disappointing. First time I sheathed the knife, I don't know if you can see that or not, but you'll see in here, I did not cut that, it simply split. As soon as the knife was seated in the sheath split. Yeah, really bummed me out. Absolute junk. Complete rubbish, completely useless. I need a custom Kydex guy. I've got a few people that have made me stuff in the past, and I'm a little disappointed that I'm going to have to send my knife to somebody for 2, 3, 4 weeks before I can, carry it. Really disappointed with that. Absolute junk. Beautiful little knife. Beautiful little knife. Great steel. Limited edition. Mine's, what does that say? 227 of 600. VG-10. Nice handle scales. A little rough around the eyelets there, but nothing that won't buff out in the pocket after a while. This one, kind of looks a little vicious for my purposes. Even though it's tiny, even though that's just a little bitty blade, looks a little vicious for my purposes. This will be a necker for me. I'm going to use this as a neck knife. In fact, it came with a nice, one of these little ball chains, and it came with a good Kydex sheath. It could stand a little more, wish there was a little more lip here to get a good purchase on this to get the Kydex off, but there is enough. I can shoot that right off of there. So sheath holds it securely. Doesn't click. Kind of wish there was a little detent somewhere to make that click. It doesn't click, but it does seat in there nice. It's not going anywhere. I kind of like this bead. I've heard other YouTube people say that that's a titanium bead. It's too heavy to be titanium. I'm going to disagree and say that that is some other material, but whatever, that's fine. No big deal, because the one thing I don't like about this knife, and see if I can focus there, this handle where it comes to this first rise, very abrupt, kind of sharpish. Pretty uncomfortable if you get your second finger in there. Not a knife that's going to do a ton of work. Just not. This is a, as we all juggle knives describe it, this is a last ditch. This knife's all about the tip. That's a vicious little pointy tip there that if you need to get somebody off of you, yeah, you can rip, stab, scrape, cut, stick them. It's a shiv. It's a little shank. It's not a great utility knife. It's too thick. It's not a good slicer. You can open packages, which is, I expect to be doing a lot of that in the new job, I suppose. Who knows. I probably should have not been a steel snob, and I probably should have bought the other version of this, the P-Cal Slik, the sheep's foot, Warncliffe kind of shape, but I didn't. Okay, what's not perfect about this knife? Oh, look at my thumb dragging all over this edge, and wow, no blood. No blood. Yeah, it's butter knife dull except for this very pointy tip. That very pointy tip is super vicious, and that'd poke holes in you if you touched it even mildly. I don't want to touch it. It's super sharp, super pointy, not super sharp. This edge, butter knife dull. Look at that. Butter knife dull. That. A little disappointing for a new knife made out of decent steel, but again, came from China. That's the reality of it, and I'm not a guy who doesn't know how to sharpen a knife or doesn't have the tools to do so. So I will sharpen this up, and it'll be just fine, but they could have sent me something a little bit better than a butter knife for $54 or whatever it was. Yeah, that would have been nice. So, okay, there's my complaints. There's the things I like about them. I don't have anything else to say. We'll keep this under 10 minutes. I got to thank We All Juggle Knives for talking about his, because this is nice, killer little. I love it. I like this little knife, and I wouldn't have bought this as being a decade edition without having looked up that knife. I love this knife. I'm bummed out. I'm going to have to find a custom Kydex guy who's either already got a mold, or I'm going to have to be without this thing for a month or whatever, but, that's life. For those of you who are looking for a saw video, because most of my videos are saw videos, I got some more saw videos coming up. Be patient, shouldn't be too long, and I've got some things I think you'll be interested in. Okay, thank you very much for your time. If you're looking at these things, I kind of hope that knowing what at least comes in the box, you know, product warranty card, lousy sheath, nice knife, nice little knife, dull, you know, little ball chain, nice little Kydex sheath, warranty card. Knowing that information might be useful. VG-10, you know, Spyderco Fred Perrin. This is why I'm in love with VG-10. Own 3 of these. That's why I'm in love with VG-10. That's another reason why I bought these. Great knife steel. Great stuff. Very impressed with how it's treated me for several years now. Okay, that's it. I told you I'd keep it under 10, and here we are at 11. Hope the rest of your day goes really, really well. Bye-bye now.